I'm Elizabeth Aguilera, and this is my story. I grew up in an apartment with my brothers and my parents, and I'm the daughter of Cuban immigrants who came here to the U.S. in the 1950s, escaping Castro and communism. My parents met the most wonderful people back in those early days that helped them start a new life and really put them on their way. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had what we needed. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, worked every kind of job you can imagine. My dad was always trying to better his circumstances. He unloaded trucks. He worked his way up in Sears, from the loading docks to customer service. He sold jewelry, he sold insurance, trying to provide not just for us, but he was also supporting family members in Cuba. He was sponsoring them so that they could also come to the US. And everything he did with excellence. He took pride in everything. If he was scrubbing toilets, he scrubbed the best toilets. There was no job too small for him. He always was very proud of any work that he had. He didn't take it for granted. My dad used to tell the story that when I was born, they didn't have enough money for diapers. He thought of something that would have really changed all of our lives. He was this close to stealing from a store to make sure that we had what we needed. And if he had done that, it would have been a very different story for all of us. So thank goodness he didn't do it. It took a little while, but he eventually found a job in his field of accounting. And when he finally found the job in his field, he rose up the ranks in that company as well. And he was able to create a beautiful life for his family. He was an example of life lessons every day, and he is my hero. I remember being very lonely as a child, actually. I didn't have a lot of friends, and so I poured myself into my schoolwork. I knew education was the key to my future, even at a very young age, and I took schoolwork very seriously. That was my path. That was my job, you might say. The thing that had the biggest impact in my life in those formative years was meeting the narcissist at 16. He would eventually become my husband. But I was a woman on my path. I was studying. I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I was going to have a great career, and I was working to make all of these things come true. And so I was actually a perfect mark for the narcissist. Narcissists are attracted to empaths, people who have good hearts, people who have wonderful traits, and they take those traits and they turn them against you in order to control, diminish, or even psychologically abuse you. Nothing will derail a woman on her path more than running into a narcissist. My parents were devoted to each other. They loved each other so much, and I couldn't wait to have my own love story. What I did is I mistook all the negative traits for positive. His jealousy, his kind of controlling nature. Well, he shows me that he cares. I was really misinterpreting all the negative signs for positive signs. I stayed with him. I was with him from 16 to 32. It was a big life lesson, and thankfully I've been able to turn that pain into my purpose and help women where I was because of what I went through. The pivotal moment that changed my life chose me. After 33 years in corporate America, my job was sent to India. I had no choice except to find out what my next steps are. What do I do now? For 33 years, I was dedicated to a company. It's all I knew. It's the job, the career, and the path that I thought I was supposed to follow. Even though the company had a toxic work culture, even though it was work that was not fulfilling, even though it was not aligned with who I was, I stayed. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to lose my salary, my benefits, or even the prestige of the company that I worked in. I was so mentally exhausted from being on that hamster wheel that I didn't even have time to think about what else could I do. It was actually my liberation being let go in that manner, because it gave me the time to figure out what my next steps would be. So after corporate life and after my forced exit from it, I quickly realized I couldn't go back there. the most amazing thing happened. I was able to start my own business from zero to fully booked in helping seniors and overwhelmed moms. It's the easiest thing that I ever did, and it was effortless. And I stayed fully booked and able to help people who needed me for 6 years. About the 6th year, I started to feel a yearning, a longing that this is better, but I want to serve in a different way. I listened this time, and I gave myself the time and the space to figure out that next move, and that's when I was led to coaching, which is so aligned with who I am, and I can help now women who were in the position that I was. The key lesson I learned through failure is don't wait for the universe to send you a sledgehammer to make the change that you know you should have made all along. I waited way too long to make a change. My soul was telling me all along, this is not where you belong. Don't wait until something cataclysmic happens in your life. The nudges and the taps on the shoulder and the inklings and the longing, that's telling you very clearly that something's not right. You're not meant to be in a position where you're unhappy. You can absolutely stay where you are and make a plan to exit and take control of where you want to be. What I would tell my 20-year-old self is that self-love is the key to everything you want in life. Self-love, self-care, self-awareness are essential. Because the outer world reflects the inner, there is no way that you can avoid doing that inner work. It's getting to know yourself. It's getting to know your strengths, your weaknesses, your thoughts, your emotions. It's being able to stand up for who you are, find your voice, and to figure out what you will not compromise in your life. Once you know who you are, you can stand in your truth. The more you know who you are, the less appealing you are to a narcissist. Self-love really is the key to everything. My passion really is helping women who are suffering in the throes of narcissistic abuse. What I want to say to her is it's not your fault. You were targeted, conditioned, and manipulated, and none of those things are your fault. And there is hope on the other side of narcissistic abuse.